Both Zion and Jerusalem sought the privilege of delivering the eulogy and bewailing the disaster that had fallen upon the Jewish people. Jerusalem maintained that she could be more objective because Zion was so close to the Temple Mount. Zion, she claimed, could not muster the vocabulary needed to eulogize the sanctuary properly. Zion, however, argued that verbal expression of grief over the tragedy was not necessary. A sigh or a groan would express more than grieving words. And so it is with all of us who are assembled here today to share in the grief of the Cahan family, who have been struck by their own personal tragedy. For years, so many of us have been so close to them, sharing their joys, their hopes, their dreams. Like Zion, our hearts too are broken at the tragedy of Gayla's truly untimely passing. Sometimes, as Zion teaches us, there simply are no words. We mourn, too, with all of you as we pray that in our own sigh, you hear an echo of your own grief. And though we know that words may not be able to bring solace at this difficult time, we do pray that they help ease your pain and your burden, as all of us and so many of us gather today to remember Gayla. We begin our service with the words of the 121st Psalm, linking Gayla's life with the 3,000-year-old tradition of the people Israel and the eternity of God.
יבוא עזרי, עזרי מעם אדוני, עושה שמיים וארץ, אל ייתן למות רגלך, אל ינום שומרך, הנה לא ינום ולא יישן, שומר ישראל. אדוני שומרך, אדוני צילך, על יד ימינך, יומם השמש לא יככה, וירח בלילה. אדוני ישמוך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם.
A song of ascent. I lift my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot falter. Your guardian will not slumber. Behold, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. Adonai is your protection by your right side. By day the sun will not harm you, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. Adonai will guard your life. Adonai will guard your going and coming from now and forevermore.
From the Wisdom of Solomon. A good person, though taken from us too soon, will rest in peace. For honor in old age does not come from length of life. Honor in old age does not come from length of years. Understanding is the gray hair of humanity. A blameless life is ripeness of age. Perfection in limited years is like living for many years. So a good person, though taken from us too soon, will rest in peace. Let us then, with peace of mind, let that good soul rest. Many have found comfort over the millennia in the words of the 23rd Psalm. It depicts God both as a shepherd and as a host. And a shepherd is one who guides those who might be lost, who need direction. And a host is one who welcomes them when they get to where they're going and feeds them and makes them feel comforted. In our best moments, we try to imitate God, to try to be both a shepherd and a host, to help those who may have lost their way or who need direction, and to welcome those who come to us. These were qualities that Gayla surely lived in her life, and qualities that we need to emulate as we go on without her. We need to give each other direction and help us on our way, and welcome and host and love and feed all of those who come to us. מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בנאות דשא ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צוררי. דישנת ושמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. You may join me if you wish in the English words of the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Yesterday, I had the privilege of speaking with Gayla's family, And Miriam noted, perhaps we could consider it a tension between being incredibly selfless and being the incredible host of which Rabbi Dreyfus spoke. And yet, Gayla was someone who truly made the world change. I thought that these words of a modern Eshet Chayil, the woman of valor who is brought to us in the Proverbs, perhaps honor both aspects of her life. A woman of valor makes the world change. Her strength is the content that guides through the days, defined by her actions that bring light to all her dreams. Valor is something that's defined by her deeds. Her valor is golden, sparkled, and gray. She stands up to the challenge, no matter the way. It can't be held back or defined by her age. Yes, a woman of valor makes the world change. For valor is not held by the young or the old, but by our deeds of the heart that give and unfold. It's merit and honor that hold no disguise, like the creation of being in the Blessed Holy One's eyes. For valor is the color of her soul. She changes, creates, and turns light into gold. Divine is her presence, be it joyous or sad. A woman of valor will give everything that she has. For only her heart will know the depths of her soul that nurtures and blossoms and forever unfolds, and holds in its essence each new life and new gain. Yes, a woman of valor makes the world change. A woman of valor makes the world change. A woman of valor makes the world change. And I think we only need look around us today to see all of the lives, just a fraction of the lives that were impacted by so much of Gayla's actions, so much of who Gayla was. We have the great honor this morning of hearing first from those who knew and loved Gayla best. And I begin by inviting her son Josh to share some memories with us.
Well, thank you all for being here today. The presence of so many loving people is a testament and a fitting tribute to how my mother lived. Kind, generous, loving, and thoughtful with friends and family alike, leader of our household and a stalwart of our community, she worked and volunteered while raising 3 kids, with often our dad working late or on call. Naturally mindful, gracious, and poised, with a rare pragmatic intelligence, she accomplished so much every day. All the more impressive because she did all this while making those close to her feel loved and cared for. She was selfless in her pursuits, but at the same time, she had a strong sense of balance and boundaries, ready to advocate for herself and make her needs known. She was the picture of someone whose inner and outer worlds were in harmony. This extended to her relationship with my father, which stands as a guiding light in my own relationship. I know Miriam and Noah feel similarly. Starting off as high school sweethearts, they grew together as teenagers, and in over 40 years of marriage, household disagreements are never dispassionate, but importantly, they never held on to resentment. In other words, my mom was always right, and they both knew it. They shared countless travels, milestones, achievements, and quiet afternoons in their Flossmoor and Michiana homes. And when breast cancer threw them a curveball, They faced it head on, but with chins held high. She went on an isolating journey with a rare syndrome. She was beset with progressive impairment in the coordination of speech and motor movements due to an unfortunately placed brain tumor in her cerebellum. As the cancer progressed, her personality changed bit by bit, eventually losing interest in most things, insensitive to suffering, but also to joy. Many times it was hard to watch. It is against this backdrop that my mother was also incredibly lucky, and not just by having a neurologist as a son. The collective support from family and friends provided the loving kindness and care few people see as they go through illness. We are eternally grateful for your presence, as was she. She was there for all of us, and you returned it in kind during her time of need. Each visit was precious to her, though, with time, she was slowly turning inward. I think we all saw her light come out in expected or unexpected ways, hidden in her memories or ours, a familiar song or nursery rhyme, the face of her sisters or grandchildren could still elicit that spark, even in the latest stages. The power of memory and love was a bridge to our mother throughout, even before the changes to her personality. Likewise, reminders of the power of memory and love are commonly woven into funeral traditions across cultures. In our culture, we say, "May her memory be a blessing." With the impact of her graciousness on all our lives, we know it already is and has been for a long time. And with that in mind, I ask you all to share memories with our family. Any emails, text messages, voicemails, pictures, videos, stories, whatever you want to share, we would like to hear them. Each incantation of her presence echoes within us, strengthening the physical connections that underlie our memories, and thus strengthening her presence in our world. May her memory be a blessing for our minds and our hearts, and may we remember to remember her.
We invite Gayla's son Noah to share some memories with us as well.
Hi everyone, and thank you for being here. Most of you know I'm Noah, the second of my mom's 3 kids. I've heard a lot recently of how much my mom meant to many of you. The outpouring of love and support is heartwarming, to say the least. She played a role in many people's lives and meant something different to each and every one of us. My mom accomplished a lot in her life. When I look back on it, I think about her as someone who made the most out of each day. She woke up to the radio with a cup of coffee and was ready to go. She used to call coffee the good drug. I'm surprised I didn't start drinking it until adulthood. That and oatmeal, a staple of her father, my Grandpa Marvin, an avid oatmeal eater. Our beloved Grandma Hope, the second wife of my mom's dad, ate oatmeal every day and for 30 plus years until after he passed. And then she realized she didn't like it anymore. And that's living like a Bernstein. 'Cause we had a lot of oatmeal in the mornings. My mom loved her father and took inspiration from him professionally and personally. She loved her whole family, both sides, and friends too. She had a big heart and truly cared for the world. My My mom loved gardening, and as a kid, I remember sharing the garden with her. We annually would have garlic harvests in the spring to eat throughout the year, fresh cucumbers, tomatoes by the handful, and squash, lots of squash. On top of that, there were a few years that she would subscribe to a CSA box to get fresh fruit from local farmers. She called it the burden of the CSA. More vegetables than any one person would reasonably want to cook with, or eat for that matter, but she loved cooking and never stopped exploring new ways to prepare food. Cooking was a part of her love language, and she bestowed it upon us in the bagfuls, to our apartments, to our broader family on holidays, and at small meals when it was just us or just her and my dad together. Her mother passed away from cancer before we were born. If you look at old family videos from our infancy, amidst the joy, there was sadness, a longing for her mother. I know that this loss gave her a unique outlook on life and the ability to support others who suffered losses or were themselves going through cancer or similar hardships. Before we were holding her hands, she was holding others. And to that end, when her diagnosis came, she knew what to do and didn't waste a moment. My mom was a warrior and a worrier. She worried more than I have time to talk about today. She also was a planner, and she planned more than any of us have time to talk about today. Her diagnosis must have been one of her worst fears, and in the face of this, she and my dad took on this new chapter of life with resilience, determination, strength, and love. They never let it get them down. One of my mom's traits I will always remember: when something struck her, like a good story or a line in a movie, she would laugh so hard she could hardly make a sound or get out the next line. It was a joy to see and always put a smile on my face. She made the most out of each day with love, gratitude, sharing, and laughter. Thank you all.
And we invite Gayla's sister-in-law, Linda, to share some remembrances with us as well.
Hi, I'm Linda Schneider. Gayla was my sister-in-law. I'm married to Joel's big brother, Jim. And I met Gayla not too long after she and Joel started dating, since Jim and I were already a couple then. So I was blessed with over 50 years of friendship, and for most of that time, sister-in-lawhood with Gayla. Gayla and I were each the eldest of 3 sisters, and we grew up in relatively quiet homes. The Cahan household, with 5 kids, 2 of them boys, and a very close extended family, was a different, albeit wonderful, environment. And not surprisingly, sometimes it took some adjusting too. Being able to talk things out with Gayla, and even occasionally being able to grouse, was a gift that I valued for all those years. I also greatly valued the common journey of our two families. Jim's and my eldest child, Adam, was born just 2 weeks after Miriam, and then Noah, our daughter Rachel, and Josh all fell into line. The interaction of our families was an integral and truly treasured part of our kids' growing up years, and the cousins remain close today. I credit Gayla with cementing the bonds by creating all kinds of opportunities for our families to interact. Sleepovers at the cottage, with Jim telling Jimmy and Joel stories, in which Joel invariably got into trouble and had to be rescued by Jim. Shared vacations, like in Sanibel and the YMCA of the Rockies. A multitude of play dates and get-togethers, going to plays and concerts, taking our kids on their family trips. Gayla took the lead in suggesting so many of those. And these opportunities for bonding were not limited to Jim's and my immediate family. Gayla reached out to Joel's sisters, Berta, Susie, and Gina, and their families, and also to the larger extended Cahan, Unger, Skolnick family. We had many, many joy-filled family gatherings, often at the cottage. Gayla knew that creating a close family, something she greatly valued and passed on to us, requires being together. Time and time again, Gayla engineered those occasions. Gayla served as a role model to me of so many characteristics, including generosity of spirit, reaching out to others, prioritizing family and family interactions, living a meaningful life of service and Judaism. Gayla gave me this necklace for one of my birthdays. It's a beautiful fragment of pottery from a broken piece of Chinese pottery. It's one of many unusual gifts that Gayla gave me. It also, like the breaking of the glass or the wedding, is a reminder to me of the often painful dichotomy of emotions that we humans are called on to bear. I loved Gayla. I'm grateful she was in my life for so long. I am bereft at her loss, and I will miss her tremendously.
Selfless. Indeed, those are the words, or that is the word, that Miriam used to describe her mother. Though she quickly added that she didn't necessarily want to describe Gayla as such. Not because she wasn't selfless. Gayla was, without a doubt, one of the most generous people that I've ever met, that any of us has ever met. And the word selfless seems to capture her perfectly. But as Miriam went on to explain, Gayla grew up at a time when there were many opportunities that weren't available to her. And being selfless was not the sum total of who she was, nor was it what she was by default. Gayla, her sister Ellen tells me, built her life the way that she wanted it. Inspired by the teachings of her parents, Marvin and May, Gayla always strove to do better, to be better. And as Marvin always used to tell her to be, she was a true mensch. Growing up in the 1950s and 60s in Wilmette, Illinois, Gayla nurtured a deep sense of self, an inner compass, and an adventurous spirit. The oldest of 3 daughters of Marvin and May Bernstein, Gayla was born on May 3rd, 1955 in Highland Park. She and sisters Ellen and Amy were so close in age, only 3.5 years separated all of them, that people, I'm told, joked they weren't Irish twins, they were Jewish triplets. This, I think, created an unbreakable bond among the Bernstein girls. That and their mother's tried and true advice. Friends come and go, but sisters are always sisters. Gayla, it seems, took these words to heart, and she embraced her role as a loving protector, a mentor, and a friend. When their mother died when the girls were only in their 20s, it was Gayla who became the family glue. She really took on the role of making sure that they were all together for the holidays. She was, from that point forward, as Ellen put it, the family matriarch. It sounds as though this role really suited Gayla. As Amy told me, she always had a protective nature, and she really embraced and had within her the archetype of some of these gracious, loving, strong, knowing women. And these sentiments are echoed by Miriam, Noah, and Josh, who spoke with so much affection about their mother's role in their lives, about her cooking and baking, which they described as so good and coveted, and about the way in which she threw herself into every project, all the while making everything she did look effortless. These, among so many incredible qualities, are the ones that made Gayla, as Ellen put it, the lovingest sister who led the way. Family was at the heart of Gayla's childhood, and the experiences that she had helped shape the woman that she would become. Ellen, Amy, and Gayla grew up vacationing on the Michigan shore, where, as we know, Gayla and Joel would later make a second home. They went on rustic road trips to Colorado where they rode horses, perhaps a nod to her athletic abilities and her love of the outdoors. Or sometimes they stayed much closer to home and enjoyed the Wilmette Beach. Even a trip to Marvin's dental office was a joy. And as we know, for Gayla, it proved inspirational. After graduating from New Trier West High School in 1973, Gayla went on to earn her bachelor's in science from the School of Dental Hygiene at Northwestern University. A person who liked to contribute, she worked for a time at Children's Memorial Hospital, treating kids with special needs. And she spent Saturdays alongside her father, working at his dental practice. In addition, for more than 30 years, Gayla served as a dental hygiene instructor at Prairie State, a part-time position that no one notes allowed her to be a full-time mom with us and commit time to the temple and other interests of hers. One such interest was Israel. Gayla spent a year living and volunteering there, an experience that I believe deeply affected her. Perhaps having grown up in an observant conservative Jewish home, It should come as no surprise that she felt connected to the Jewish homeland. But that connection was one that Gayla not only felt deeply, but that she carried over to the next generation. Joel tells me that they took their family to Israel no fewer than 5 times over the years. That on one memorable occasion, Gayla used her considerable Hebrew skills to speak up for herself with a shopkeeper. Susie, Joel's sister, tells me that it was Gayla who encouraged her to volunteer in Israel, as Gayla herself had done, a move which led Susie to ultimately decide to make Aliyah. And Gayla spent years as a teacher at our congregational Hebrew school, educating generations of kids about Israel and training so many for their B'nai Mitzvah. An amazing moral compass and an ability to make tough decisions proved invaluable when she embraced the role of Temple board member and then served 3 years at its helm. As Temple president, Gayla leaned into her incredible self-discipline, her curiosity, and her willingness to learn. Being bold and unafraid to try new things gave her a vision for the community and for its future. And though she'd long since hung up her presidential gavel by the time that I arrived in Homewood 10 years ago, I knew that I could always count on Gayla to offer sage advice and to help in any way that she could. Such was Gayla's commitment to the Jewish community, and it was a true pleasure to work with her side by side. But perhaps Gayla's greatest partnership was the one forged when she was just 16 years old with a then 15-year-old Joel. Theirs was a relationship that was beshert from the start, and it was one to which Miriam rightfully looks as a model of true partnership, and as we heard, certainly Josh and Noah too. Miriam noted that they have stood by each other's side through all of life's ups and downs and modeled respect, compromise, and deep, enduring love. Joel and Gayla, she told me, were married on the longest night of the year, the winter solstice, December 21st, 1980. Perhaps there was some symbolism there. Theirs was a long and happy marriage, a beautiful life, and a story of true love. Together, they raised 3 wonderful children, Miriam, Noah, and Josh. Lovingly, they welcomed Ted, Jamie, and Brittany into the family. And together, they embraced a role that they relished most: grandparents to Hannah, Ben, Jacob, and Maya. Gayla cherished her sisters Ellen and Amy, and she was blessed to have such a large and beautiful family. I am told that she treated her sisters and brothers-in-law as if they were sisters and brothers of blood. She established beautiful relationships with her stepsisters, with Marla and Dawn, each of her 12 wonderful nieces and nephews, her dear cousins, and she built a beautiful relationship with Hope. And it's a relationship that continued beyond Marvin's passing. But it was the love that began between 2 teenagers back in high school that could not have been more present than over the past 4.5 years, as Joel supported Gayla through the fight of and for her life. Joel, you modeled love and care with such grace and compassion. I think I speak for us all in saying that we are in awe of the way in which you cared for your beloved Gayla, especially in these past few months, as her physical limitations grew and her ability to speak declined. Gayla was the strongest woman that I have met, and she fought harder than anyone I have ever known to stay alive, to continue your love story. Tragically, it was not to be. But Gayla's presence will always remain, a legacy of intelligence, of strength, of courage and wisdom to guide and inspire each and every one of us as we live out our days. The world is a better place for Gayla Bernstein Cahan having been in it. Teheh nishmata tzrura b'tzror hechayim. May her soul be bound up in the bonds of eternal life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, and we have the honor of having one last speaker, Amy, Gayla's sister.
Gayla embodied the best qualities of our parents and applied them in her own life, in her own way. Gayla found ways to live her life on her terms, with honor and respect. Gayla's life force shines brightest in the life and family she and Joel co-created. They built and lived Shalom Bayit, a welcoming and loving home, and they took that with them wherever they went and gave it to whomever they met. My husband, Leo, describes Gayla as the CEO of everything. She had vision and willingness, and the will and skill sets and capabilities to accomplish anything she set her mind and heart to, and to see it to fruition. Gayla had a willingness to see the good, to not know, and to learn. These are aspects of Gayla you likely know, have seen, and been the beneficiary of. I want to share a glimmer of who Gayla is to me, who Gayla will always be to me. One of my most vivid memories of Gayla is a time I walked into her bedroom while she was practicing the flute for her part in a play. Gayla is wearing a black danskin leotard, black danskin tights, donning a black cape sewn by our mother. This is no ordinary cape. She peers out eye holes. Small pointy ears sit atop her head. Her wings are scalloped. She is free to move and spread her wings and play the flute because each finger and thumb slip through ring-like openings. There was a flute-playing dancing bat in Gayla's room. For a week, this memory has been close. Gayla's diligence and willingness to do her part are innate. Research revealed why this memory persisted. Bats symbolize protection, versatility, wisdom, guidance, guardianship. A week ago, I sent Miriam a message to read to her mother. Remember jumping on Mom and Dad's bed and getting in trouble? I remember jumping on the bed and flying. No one believed me. Everyone I told insisted it was a dream. I know it's real, because what could be more real than our exuberance? 3 little girls jumping on our parents' bed, knowing it was good, even though we were told otherwise. I love you, Gay.
A prayer for when a loved one dies after a long and painful illness. From the words of Rabbi Naomi Levy, who writes, I miss you. I am lonely without you. I am devastated that you were taken from me. I am angry that you had to suffer so. It was so hard to see you in your torment and pain. But that's not how I will remember you. I will always remember you full of life and warmth and kindness. I will remember the laughter and the love. I will remember the precious time we shared. I will remember your vitality and your grace. Your death has left a gaping hole in my life. But as hard as it is to be without you, I take comfort in the knowledge that you are at last at peace. Rest in peace. God bless you. Amen. As you are able, I invite you to rise as we turn to the words of El Maleh Rachamim, as we ask God's compassion upon Gayla's soul.
El Maleh Rachamim, shochen b'meramim, hametzeh menucha nechona, תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת גילה בת מאיר ומרים שהלכה לעולמה בגן עדן תהא מנוחתה. אנא בעל הרחמים הסתיריה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר אמן.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Gayla Cahan, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that she find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bonds of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. You're welcome to be seated.
Thank you, Rabbi. Friends, this concludes the services here at the synagogue. The interment and burial services will continue at Ridgelawn Cemetery. For those of you driving to the cemetery, we will be having a funeral procession. We will go slowly and safely from here to the cemetery. For those of you traveling with us to the cemetery in the procession, please do keep the following safety precautions in mind. Please make sure that your bright headlights and your four-way hazard flashers are on. Please be sure to obtain an orange funeral safety sticker for your windshield, and we will be providing several, but not every car in the procession with a magnetic orange flag to be placed on top of your car. Please travel as close as safety permits to the car in front of you to avoid any gaps in our procession. We will also be having a car at the rear of the procession to hopefully help keep all of us together and to avoid other people coming into the procession if they're not intending to join us to the cemetery. As you do make your way from here to the cemetery, for your own safety and security, I would also suggest not speaking or texting while driving to the cemetery. And if the car in front of you goes through a red light, if the light changes, please proceed with caution. Feel free to use your horn liberally, but make every effort to continue to stay in line with the procession. The family will be together for Shiva at the Cahan residence at 3033 Scott Crescent in Flossmoor. They'll be together today, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 4 until 7 p.m. with a minyan service each evening at 6 p.m. And the family has also requested that any memorial contributions be made to the Ark or to the Greater Chicago Food Depository. That information regarding Shiva and donations is available in the service folder that you should have received when you came into the sanctuary. If you did not receive one, we do have those for you as you leave. And for those of you joining us online, that information is also available on our website.
The family would also like to express their thanks for all of the attention that was showered upon Gayla, for all of the friendship that was shown to her and to them, and for the kind things that were done for her and for them over the past 4.5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. And at this time, I would ask for everyone to please rise and stand in place as we escort the casket, the rabbi, and the family from the sanctuary.